Swamiji, we wanted to, I was very curious about your life in Rishikesh and vis-a-vis America. So, what was the ideal that motivated you to go to India? Why did you hanker after spirituality? Maybe if you can address that, so that we can also be inspired to also, we can
Well,
understand.
you don't want to be a sadhu. It's too late. Maybe in your fourth ashram you can be sadhu. Well, I was studying architecture in college. That's when it started. And my classmate, who was like the class genius, we started studying philosophy. We're studying actually Gurdjieff. I don't know if anybody knows Gurdjieff. Okay, he's from Armenia. It's a modern form of Sufism, you can say. And I just realized that, what? Oh, you almost stepped on him.
Huh?
You almost stepped on him. Mr. Fly.
Mr. Fly, oh, I'm sorry.
And I just realized that there's lots of architects, there's lots of mathematicians and all of that, and there's a higher calling. So I left everything. Actually, I left with my friend, my classmate. We decided that buildings had some kind of negative consciousness, and we had to leave everything, not take any possessions, no money, nothing, and start wandering, begging our food and sleeping under trees. And we were going to wander in America and live like that. And we did it for a few months, and it became too much for him. And he went home, and I kind of continued. So that's how I started. I was just living outside and, begging food and sleeping wherever I could sleep. And eventually I went to the mountains of North Carolina, and I met my first spiritual teaching. He was German. His father had been a Nazi officer in the war, and he was horrified by this, so he became Baha'i. He felt that the Baha'i faith was the way. And he had studied Gurdjieff and all the Western traditions, mystical traditions, and I was with him for quite some years and was Baha'i. But like I told you, oh no, I didn't tell you. I told that Muslim on the airplane coming here. There was a Muslim guy sitting from Tehran, and we had long conversations on the airplane. I had a problem with the Baha'i faith because they teach that the soul is created at conception, but is eternal. And that you're born with a certain capacity, and you have to live up to that capacity. And I decided that meant that God was unjust. And because some people are born geniuses, some people are born handicapped, some people die at birth. So I felt that reincarnation was the only answer to that, And I left that, and eventually I found I continued basically living like I was telling you before. I went out west in America to Arizona and then to Southern California, living in parks and stuff, and I found myself at the doorstep of Yogananda's ashrams in California. Does everybody knows her mom's a Yogananda?
Yeah.
His picture was somewhere.
I read the book. I have read the book.
All right. Who said that? You said that?
Yeah, I said the autobiography of a yogi.
Yes. Are more people coming, or?
Just the last one.
Okay, let's just wait. Oh. The last one.
The last one of the invitees.
What's his name?
Karthik Subramanian Sharma.
Oh, my I see, you're from South India.
South India.
What part?
Both Kerala and Tamil Nadu.
Yeah, because Karthik is more Tamil Nadu than Kerala.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just behind your head there is this small ring.
What is it?
Yeah,
That thing?
Yeah, you could hurt yourself.
All right, thank you. So I joined, but I had started meditating on my own. I started following the prana in the spine and closing my ears to hear the sounds in the chakras. I didn't know what this was. And watching the breath, I just started doing it. So when I came to Yogananda's ashrams, I knew I had been a Kriya yogi before. And I became a monk there. But I saw a photo of Swami Bodhichitananda of Sivananda ashram, the successor of Swami Sivananda, and I recognized him. And the head of the organization, Sri Dayamata, I don't know if anybody knows who Sri Dayamata, she was the successor of Yogananda. She felt I had been with Swami Bodhichitananda in my previous life, and she sent me to India. And I joined Sivananda ashram there. But I continued in Kriya Yoga, because I felt it was the best practice. And I didn't want mantra diksha. I wanted to continue in Kriya Yoga. And Swami Bodhichitananda was fine with this. I served him as his secretary. And he told me that there was one advanced Kriya yogi who I could go for guidance. That was Swami Gyanananda Giri. You don't know him. He was originally from Switzerland, and in 1952 he read the autobiography of a yogi, and he walked to India from Switzerland. And he never
walked to India.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And he never returned. He joined Yogananda's ashrams in America for 12 years, and then he retired to the Himalayas. So, and he passed away in 2015. So I used to go to him for guidance in Kriya Yoga. And he's the one that told me to give Kriya to others, give Kriya initiation to others. So that's, and then so eventually I didn't want to live in big institutions. I wanted to go into the forest. I started going to the forest to meditate more. And then Swami Bodhichitananda told me, I built a little cottage, and Swami Bodhichitananda told me I should live there. And eventually I got my ashram. But that was on the reserved forest land I was living. Eventually I had to leave that. And then some people helped me get a land above the Nilkant temple near to Rishikesh, next to the Rajaji Tiger Park. So that's where I live. I live alone in the forest. I have a couple guest rooms for my students when they come or whatever. But I like living alone, mostly. I like the animals more. I find animals less dangerous than humans.
Do you get visits from the tigers because you live close to the tiger reserve?
Yeah, the tigers are there. It's more leopards. Leopards are common. Tigers generally are little, about 1.5 to 2 kilometers Jilmil-Gufa. You don't know Jilmil-Gufa. It's where Gorakhnath did his tapasya, and there's like 10 Babas living in that cave. And the tigers are more there just because there's no road over there, you know. So we have a road near us, but they come. But leopards are common. And elephants come sometimes.
Leopards don't attack humans? Generally?
No, we've never had a leopard attack or a tiger attack ever in our area. Bear attacks to women going for the grass in the forest. Once a year, usually some bear, no problem. No, they don't attack. They're not concerned. They don't. We're not on the menu.
That's important. That's important. We should end up on their menu.
We're not on the menu. No. And the cobra, they don't bother. Sometimes a cobra comes. I've had king cobra a couple times come. They don't bother me either. People are so afraid of snakes and stuff. No. I don't have problems with animals. I don't, but the problem is I don't go out at night. After 6 p.m. I don't go outside because that's their time, you know.
Yeah.
So, I told you in How long did it take to tell the life story? 10 minutes. So I practice Kriya Yoga. I avoid giving Diksha into mantra. I can. Come in. But
You avoid giving diksha? What do you say?
in mantra, because I practice Kriya Yoga. I prefer to, and my students really